This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. UK Home Secretary Priti Patel has approved the extradition of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to the United States. Assange faces up to 175 years in prison here in the U.S. if convicted of violating the Espionage Act for publishing classified documents exposing U.S. war crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan. WikiLeaks has announced Assange will appeal today's ruling. In a statement, WikiLeaks said, quote, "Julian did nothing wrong. He's committed no crime and is not a criminal. He's a journalist and a publisher, and he's being punished for doing his job," unquote. Just before we went to air today, Assange's wife, Stella Morris, spoke at a news conference addressing today's ruling.
The extradition order rests on a decision to reverse the initial outcome, a decision by the High Court to accept assurances that are severely flawed, that the Amnesty International called that decision a travesty. That is what this extradition order is resting on. We're going to raise points that have come up since the original extradition hearing back in 2020. And crucially, one of the most important developments is the revelation that the CIA plotted to assassinate Julian while he was in the Ecuadorian embassy and kidnap him and rendition him and was exploring poisoning him. This is known to the Home Secretary, but she signed it off anyway, but we will be raising it on appeal.
That's Julian Assange's wife and attorney, Stella Morris. We are now going here in New York City to Gabriel Shipton, filmmaker, Julian Assange's brother. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, Gabriel. Can you respond first to the Home Secretary's ruling?
Well, this is, this ruling just says, the UK government agrees that a journalist, a publisher can be taken from the UK, can be extradited from the UK solely for doing their job. So this is a hugely dangerous precedent that's been set in the UK for journalists and publishers there. So this is just goes to show that this is a once-in-a-lifetime fight for press freedom, and it is inching closer, this is coming to the US. The UK government wants Julian extradited. The judiciary has ruled against Julian in favour of the US DOJ to extradite Julian. So I think people can no longer rely on the UK government or the UK judiciary to protect journalism, that people in the USA need to stand up for press freedoms and fight this case.
A group of more than 300 doctors from around the world are calling on Patel to block the extradition. Of course, she chose not to, saying that he suffered a mini stroke last October. His overall health is continuing to deteriorate. They write, "The extradition of a person with such compromised health, moreover, is medically and ethically unacceptable." Can you talk about his condition right now, and will you appeal?
So yes, that's right. Julian had a mini stroke at the end of October. He has been detained in the UK one way or another for the last 12 years. If you can imagine what that is like, Julian hasn't seen a blade of grass in 12 years. He has been in a maximum security prison for the last 3 years. There's this endless legal snakes and ladders that he has been put through, and it is really, he's a gentle genius, a publisher. He's not a violent criminal. He is not convicted of any crime. He's an innocent man who's been held in prison solely at the request of the US DOJ. And this is really wearing him down. He's been worn down over these 12 years. The UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, Niels Melzer, found that he was suffering the effects of psychological torture. So, it's so sad to see Julian, the Julian that I know from years ago, and the Julian that I've seen in the
and
prison.
The significance
in
of
the past
what
months.
it was that he released back in 2010 and has continued to release information over the years, even when he was, in political exile in the Ecuadorian consulate in London.
Yes, that's right. And none of so he's published evidence of war crimes, torture in Guantanamo Bay, government corruption, even the collateral murder video that's world famous. None of these, and it's the publisher that has been punished in this situation. It's none of the criminals, none of the people who have committed these crimes that there is much evidence for. It is the publisher in this situation that is receiving the punishment. The New York Times, Der Spiegel, Washington Post, The Guardian, they all published similar information, and none of them are facing the punishment that Julian is. We are going to fight this ruling by Priti Patel. We have an opportunity to apply to appeal to the High Court in the UK and then to the European Court of Human Rights. So we're going to fight this, but with this ruling, it's saying the UK government, they want to move this forward. They want to extradite Julian to the USA.
Finally, Gabriel, the issue of the United States assuring Britain if it extradites Julian, he would be able to serve any sentence imposed on him by a U.S. court in Australia. What does this mean, especially given the new administration in Australia, the new Prime Minister?
Well, that's a treaty obligation that's available to everyone who's convicted in the USA. It sort of means nothing because, by the time Julian gets extradited to the USA, the court proceedings, will be at least 2 years. If he appeals to the Supreme Court, we're looking at an 8 to 10 year process. So, if you add that onto the 12 years he's already been detained, that's 20 years that Julian has had no freedom whatsoever. 3 of those years in a maximum security prison. So,
but it is interesting what the new Australian Prime Minister has said in the past, Albanese. Can you tell us?
Yes. So Anthony Albanese has, in opposition, he said enough is enough. In regard to Julian being kept in prison, he said, I don't see what purpose is served by keeping Julian in prison. That was before the election. Asked after he was elected as Prime Minister if he stood by those statements, and he said, foreign policy, not all foreign policy is conducted with a bullhorn. So that is a very significant departure from previous government statements where they said this is a matter for the UK courts. Julian's receiving consular assistance now. Anthony Albanese has signalled that this is a foreign policy issue, and by saying that foreign policy is not conducted with the bullhorn, it suggests that there are some negotiations happening behind closed doors. So, Julian is very popular in Australia. There was a poll in December, and 70%, it was in a national newspaper, 71% of those polled agreed with the statement that Julian should be brought home. So the new Prime Minister has to represent the will of the people in Australia, and overwhelmingly people in Australia want this to come to a close.
I want to thank you so much for being with us, Gabriel Shipton, filmmaker and Julian Assange's brother.